Good afternoon and welcome to All for United. This is the Pride of All Europe podcast. We are back after a couple of days off. The Euros are back. It is the round of 16 or the last 16, whatever you want to call it, But I've got a great panel of guests with me today. I've got Charlie. How are you, pal?
All good, mate. Nice to be back.
We've got Chuki, even though it's about 4 a.m.
Yes.
How are you, Chuki? Where he is? How are you, pal?
Doing good here at Seattle. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, pal. Good morning. And we've got Henry. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Right, I'm just going to quickly, because we've been starting football for a couple of days, football action in the Euros. I'm just going to quickly go over the group stages and find out what our panel of guests are finding about the tournament. How they're finding the new format with the bigger teams, the bigger group stages, and who's impressed them, who's not impressed them, which players are impressed, which players are not. And without further ado, I'm just going to come to Charlie first. Charlie, which teams and players have impressed you so far during the Euros, mate?
I think there's been one standout team so far. That's been Italy. Italy, not just the way they've played, but the manner they've won, the way that they haven't conceded a goal yet. If you don't concede goals, you get points, you win games, and they've just been really, really good so far. Italy. In terms of other teams that have impressed, I think Hungary were fantastic. I thought, honestly, Hungary were brilliant. Obviously, they had a load of fans in Budapest for their first two games. Hungary were just fantastic. They gave everything. They were very unlucky to lose 3-0 to Portugal. I thought, the last three goals were in the last sort of 5 minutes. That looked bad on them. And then they got a point against France, and they drew with Germany as well, didn't they? They took Germany all the way. So I think Hungary were excellent. In terms of other big teams, though, that have impressed, there's been a lot of teams have struggled to get out of second gear, haven't they, really? England have obviously not conceded a goal, but they haven't scored many goals. They haven't looked very impressive. You've got France, who have sort of not really been what we'd expect of them. Germany sort of just about got through. Belgium have played pretty well, decently well. But again, I think they can go up another level. And you've got teams like Spain and the Netherlands and maybe Portugal as well, that I just don't really see getting really to the semi-final. So there's not really been the quality of football has actually been quite poor, I think, in the bigger games between the big teams. But I think actually in the games against smaller sides, not small sides, poorer sides, we may say, with all due respect to them, where the quality of players is not so good, maybe those games have been slightly more exciting. I've really enjoyed watching Wales. I think Wales have been really good. They've got obviously a lot of quality. Dan James has done very well. But in terms of teams that have impressed me, Italy have been by far the most impressive, I think. But again, all you have to do is get out of the group stages. I'm a believer of it doesn't really matter who you play. If you want to go far in a tournament, you're going to have to beat the best. So in my opinion, it doesn't matter whether you finish first, second. Obviously, if you get third, the four top place third teams have gone through. But yeah, Italy have been really impressive. And in terms of players that have impressed me, obviously Ronaldo, although he's had a few penalties, has been very, very good. The way that I saw a stat on BBC, he's got more goals after he turned 30 per game than he did before he was 30. It's just unbelievable. After he turned 30, his goals contributions have gone up. It's just fantastic. He's obviously one of the best of all time. Ronaldo, absolutely unbelievable. Lukaku's impressed me. I think he's done well for Belgium. I think you have to look at Italy again for players that have impressed. I think a lot of Italy's players, you've got Spinazzola at left back. I think he's been unbelievable for them. And Italy have used 25 out of 26 of their players already, and they've still got 9 points and not conceded a goal. So that just shows the depth that they've got. But yeah, in terms of players that have impressed overall, Paul Pogba's done very well as well. Victor Lindelof's done very well. A lot of Man United players Luke Shaw's been okay. Maguire did okay for England the other night. So yeah, for Man United, it's been a decent, players playing decently well. Bruno Fernandes is obviously one that people have caught on. Obviously, he was dropped for the last game. But the lad's played too many games. He's played every 4 days on average all season. So you've got to cut him a bit of slack there. But yeah, I've enjoyed the football. We'll see what the other lads think. But I think if the player of the tournament so far, it's a tough one, isn't it? Paul Pogba is obviously a big candidate, but Kevin De Bruyne as well, just fantastic the way he impacts games. But I'll see what the other lads say.
Yeah, fair play to you there, Charlie. Chuki, my mate, you get some big up from Connor here saying, "Oh, Chuki waking up at 4 a.m. to join. That's pure commitment." And Charlie yourself joining while you're on holiday. Fantastic, boys. What we love to see. Chuki, what teams and what players have impressed you so far during the tournament?
I think Charlie covered a lot of ground there, to be fair. I think it was totally spot on. I'm not going to beat the dead horse on Italy. Italy has been amazing this tournament. They've their national side are playing with a club side form. It looks like they feel and look like they've been in training camp for the entire season. And it's been amazing watching them. And not only that, it's been amazing watching their new style. Italy's traditionally, very, conservative. A lot of focus and a lot of effort goes into defending, behind the ball. And they're basically playing free-flowing football with the entire squad. Mancini has done a wonderful job changing the identity of that team. They're just a delicious dish now. I anticipate the Italian games. I'm sure most people do. I've totally enjoyed what they brought to the Euros. I know there's a few gems there that probably did not stand out to me before the tournament started, like Locatelli. Most of their players, like Insigne, and who's there, Chiesa. Folks like that, you already knew based on their form in the Italian league that they were going to bring some fire to the Euros. I'm surprised about the durability of their center backs. To be fair, I mean, those guys are they're not in the United States we call them, but they're not spring chickens. They're veterans of the game, and they've been totally solid. Like Charlie pointed out, I think accurately, that they haven't even conceded. That goalkeeper too is an interesting one. He just got a deal to PSG. He's a player, young goalkeeper. He's a player I would love to have at United instead of De Gea in this era. I know we were chatting before the lights came on and the show started that De Gea has been a wonderful servant. I mean, speaking of De Gea, he's pretty much United's number one goalkeeper, and he hasn't even got onto the field for Spain. Even when they were playing Slovakia, so it tells you where the pecking order De Gea has fallen from, where he is right now and exactly where he's falling from. But anyway, Donnarumma is wonderful. He and that center back pairing have, showed a lot of solidity, and I'm kind of really jealous about that team. Who else? I think Sweden has surprised me. They topped their group. I wasn't expecting that much from them. Lindelof, even though some of his apparent weaknesses have shown up, especially during anyway, he was playing against one of the best players in the world right now in Lewandowski, but some of his one-on-one when defending, when strength or aggression is expected and needed, he kind of falls short there. But I remember one of the first matches, I think, was the man of the match. So he's had overall a very solid campaign. I've been so proud about Sweden. Their center forward is an interesting one as well. I think all eyes on Isak, a tall, strong, traditional looking 9 who has quick feet and has a little dribble in him. Has quite a bit of technical ability. I'm sure a lot of clubs are already or will start sniffing around him after the Euros are over. the teams that have kind of fallen short, I think, I think Charlie mentioned was Spain. You expect more with kind of firepower they have, the amount of technical. They have several wonderful technical players play for Spain, and I think they showed their flourish in their last match. I think where they scored 5 goals. Morata finally got something right there. Who else has Turkey? Turkey was just disappointing, just flat out disappointing. I think a lot of people picked them as a dark horse, and they just ended up just being horses. Everybody else's horse, I guess. For players, Bruno is a big one because he's coming in as with ridiculous numbers from the EPL, but probably burnt out. I would say probably one of my best players for the tournament has to be Paul Pogba, just because of the amount of get out of the seat moments he's provided. And even though the France team hasn't really, it doesn't look like they've got out of second gear, or at least they haven't reached first gear yet. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see what they might be capable of and see what their ceiling really is. But it's been a great tournament so far. Don't want to be too harsh.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Great points there. Great points. Henry, my friend, what are we making of this tournament so far, mate? Who's surprised you? Who's maybe disappointed you, pal? And who's your dark horse going into this tournament? Hopefully it wasn't Turkey.
No, it wasn't Turkey. I was never drawn on them because there was one problem with them, and people discard this as nothing. They had a really, really poor run into the tournament. They were awful in the months before, and people say it doesn't count, and just friendlies or this or that. They do count and they matter, because if you don't have a good run into a tournament, your form's not good, you're not feeling 100%, so things go wrong, and everything went wrong with Turkey. To be honest, they were dreadful, just dreadful. Chuki's right with Sweden as well. They had absolutely no right to finish top of that group. I don't think they had any right to finish second in that group, to be honest. They did fantastically well. Again, they're a side. They haven't got many star players. I know everyone talks about Isak and stuff. He kind of turns up in moments, but they've got players that are durable. Every single one of those players is durable. They can all, put in a good shift for 90 minutes. So they'll cause problems for Ukraine in the next game, and I even think they could win it. They're winning games 1-0 because of their resilience at the back and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I was even impressed with North Macedonia. I know they finished bottom, and I know they were, they weren't fantastic, but they were tipped to be destroyed by every team they come up against, and they caused problems for every team that they played. So I think they can go out holding their heads pretty high. Poland were really disappointing. They've got some good players, and they just didn't show up at all. And I'd be pretty fuming if I was one of their supporters. So it's one of those where there hasn't been many teams that have really impressed. The top sides, the Dutch have been good, to be fair, but they are so vulnerable at the back, and you can just tell they haven't been attacked properly by any team. And when Ukraine had a 10-minute spell, they scored 2 goals against them. So, yeah, there's not been one team specifically I look at and think they've just been purely fantastic every single game. And that's a weird thought coming into the round of 16, but sides will just turn it on. England have been poor. I'm not buying all this. Yeah, it's okay to win 1-0. I'm not buying all that crap. It's garbage. It's such that it's pundits pushing forward agendas because they love Gareth Southgate. You can't win the games that we have 1-0. You look at Czech Republic. They had a couple of good chances against us. If Germany have those chances against us, they're goals. So I'm not buying all that. We have to improve in the next game. Germany is not a given. I know they drew against Hungary, but Hungary drew against France as well. So, it's not a given. And I think English pundits are They're way too biased, and they always talk about England, and it really annoys me because there's a lack of education when it comes to other sides in the tournament, giving other sides credit, and they'll do a 2-minute chat on another team in the tournament and then straight back to England. So don't believe the agendas. Don't believe them pushing propaganda forwards about how Southgate's fantastic. Just see where we're at. And if we don't play well against Germany, we don't. And if he turns it around, then fair play.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, I thought it was, mate. Absolutely. I'm not totally sold on Southgate. And when you see that he could be handing a new contract, no matter what happens in the Germany game, I just feel it's a bit, FA being, he's a bit of a yes man for me, Southgate. So and the FA always love the yes men. Charlie, what's your feelings on Southgate then? That's because a very good point which Henry's put up there.
Yeah, Southgate. I agree with what Henry said about the 1-0s and stuff. If you compare Italy and England, Italy have won games keeping clean sheets, but they've won them convincingly, and the opposition has had very little against them, really. Whereas, in the games that England have played, other than the Croatia game, Scotland and the Czech Republic probably deserved a result out of the games. Scotland, you could even say Scotland deserved to beat England with the chances they had. And if Shea Adams, the finishing of Scotland has been terrible. That's why they've got knocked out. But also with the Czech Republic, as Henry said, Souček had that chance. If that's Muller, Kroos, Gundogan on Tuesday night, it's probably going to be 1-0 to Germany. So it's Southgate's a tricky one. I'm not his biggest fan at all. I think he has favourites. He has not agendas against certain players, but he doesn't like certain players. You can tell. I think he was forced into choosing Grealish due to the media and all the pressure surrounding it. I don't think he couldn't not take Jack Grealish to the tournament. I think Southgate, I think he is a manager that is sort of sets up not to lose. He's one of those managers that set up try not to get beaten. Let's try and nick a goal. And I'm not sure I think the way that football's evolved, you see, the Jose Mourinho style as such. You see how many times Spurs went 1-0 up under Jose this last season, and then sat back, tried to defend the lead, and the amount of points they lost. And that's what England have done. In these first few games, when England have gone 1-0 up against Croatia and the Czechs, they've just sat back and invited pressure. And the way that football's evolved, the amount of different tactical geniuses there are in football nowadays. If you think about Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, the way that they've and Marcelo Bielsa, the way they've evolved the game, they have so many different ways of scoring a goal. You look at the way that Liverpool's fullbacks act. If Salah and Mane are having a bad day, you've got fantastic fullbacks that can put wonder crosses in or score wonder goals. Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course. And England are playing this sort of one-dimensional football, and Harry Kane is sort of this main man that's supposed to do something for England. He hasn't done anything. So Southgate, I said before, this is his last chance for me. If he doesn't, I think what would be success for England in this tournament? Get into the final, maybe? I don't know. Get into the final, maybe? And if he doesn't get to the final, I think he probably should be sacked. And I think that England will get knocked out on Tuesday. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Southgate. I don't think he utilises this squad as much as he could. This squad has so much ability in it. Jude Bellingham, in my opinion, should start ahead of Rice or Phillips. I don't think Rice and Phillips work together as a pair in terms of on the ball. I just don't think they offer enough. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Southgate. And I just think against Germany, the amount of we cannot just sit back and invite pressure, because if you look at that German squad, the amount of different dimensions they've got pace, they've got experience. They might get you on a set piece. They've got 3 tall centre halves. They've got 2 wing backs that can overlap, get into the back post. The wing backs have been crucial. Gersons and Kimmich for them already. You've got Kroos and Gundogan in midfield who have got so much technical ability. So if you sit back against the Germans and invite pressure, they're gonna kill you off. They're going to kill you off at some point. So yeah, Southgate, I think he'll get found out on Tuesday, and I think unfortunately England will go out. And I wouldn't offer him a new contract, but he probably will get one, as the lads have said already. He's just an FA puppet, really, isn't he? He's not going to complain about anything. He's just going to be a yes man, as we've already said. So yeah, Not a fan of Southgate at all.
Am I the only one who sort of wants us to go 1-0 down in this game? And then it's like, do something. Do something about it. Not sit back and piss around, because that's what we do. We sit back and we mess around and, sloppy passes, and you get into a rhythm, a poor rhythm. I want us to win, but I want us to go 1-0 down just to see what happens, because if we go 1-0 down, he just thinks, oh, crap. I've got Rice and Phillips on the pitch. I'll make a sub. Then you go, right, he actually does know what he's doing. But then if he keeps the same players, it's like, I mean, he is an FA puppet, and he will get a new contract. And the next few years, if he does, are going to be hell, because this is the only country where I know that managers get rewarded for failure, and it's actually embarrassing. Like, you get your Alan Pardew's and people like that just go in circles, and Sam Allardyce, and they get rewarded for being garbage, essentially. And, it will just happen again. But I want to see a reaction. I want to see go 1-0 down and see a reaction, because then that'll prove to me that we actually know what we're doing.
Chuki, as an outsider, pal, what do you make of Gareth Southgate? These two are not fans of Gareth at all, by the sound of it.
Yeah.
But what's your feelings on Gareth Southgate, mate?
So I'm going to try to be the moderating voice here. It's interesting to hear the comment. I mean, those are the usual comments you have about Gareth Southgate, and in fact, Charlie's comment, if you would like to just transpose it or copy paste, you might as well just you could just erase the name Gareth Southgate and just put another name, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it would be almost the same, criticism that normally comes that way. Yes person, a little bit tentative, a little bit not ambitious on the field, and sometimes sets up to not lose. So national teams have a different, more simplistic goal. Unlike commercial club. It's like a national team, you're playing for your country, playing for pride. And that's the game. The tournament you're playing in is the goal, is to just win the tournament. Doesn't matter how you win the tournament. They don't have to entertain you. Southgate doesn't have to. He's not a good or bad manager because he doesn't put your favorite player on the field. That's not the way to judge a national team coach. He has one job. His job is to win that tournament, because there isn't an FA Cup, there isn't a Carling Cup, there isn't any other secondary thing going on. He doesn't have to divide his resources, and or he doesn't have to prioritize at all. He just needs to do whatever needs to be done to win the trophy. And in this case, is the Euros. So let's look at reality. Reality is the team he's leading is leading the group, top of the group, right? So, I mean, it's not gymnastics. You don't give points for form. You give points for points, and they have the most points. Do I like him personally? Do I like his style? No, I don't. But that's besides the point. Now let's contrast that with Italy, right? Italy is exciting because they've come out in a way. Italian team, they don't have a traditional Italian team style, so that's interesting. That is entertaining, but that's a sidebar. That doesn't come to anything if they don't win this trophy. I mean, people remember like, wow, that Italian team, they were really good. But if they do not win the trophy, it's like, okay, what's the point? So Southgate is doing what he's being paid to do, is to, achieve maximum results with whatever resources he has. Now, it's interesting to me that he chooses some players over others. I don't know why Rashford is in that team. I think there's a lot of politics going on, but a national team coach also is sort of like a politician, him backing the kneeling down before the matches, that's not a coach's job, that's a politician's job. But he's there to embody national character. Rashford probably did a lot of off-field stuff that he wants to stand up and say, yeah, we're going to reward you by being on this team, while the only business you should be having is to be with your doctors and figuring out whether you're going to have the surgery you need or not need, whatever the case might be. So yeah, Southgate, to me, I think he's a little bit boring, but I can't take, he's done the job. So, what can I say?
That's a fair point, Chucky. Fair point. I've got a question here from Stuart O'Hara. Panelists, who would you rather have as the England manager? So I'm going to ask Charlie and I'm going to ask Henry. I'll come to you first, Charlie, since we're these do not like Gareth Southgate, like myself, because I think he's absolutely useless. But Charlie, who would you rather have as England boss then? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I'll put a comment in the chat, actually. I think Eddie Howe, he's available, isn't he, Eddie Howe? He hasn't had a job.
At the minute, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Southgate, the thing is with Southgate, international football is different than club football. And you have to, there's no lying here. You have to be hard to beat, whether you're in club or international football, but especially in international football, you don't see, you look at the way, France play. France are not a hugely expansive side. They don't go blazing. They know they need to keep it quite tight at the back, and no one's got an issue at all with not going absolutely guns blazing and losing. What people have got an issue with is certain players being picked ahead of other players with no real reason why, and just due to favouritism. And that's how I feel. And we've got some comments coming through. I've said Eddie Howe. We've had Frank Lampard, Arsene Wenger. Yeah, I've said that before. Yeah. Arsene Wenger as well. But I think he's a bit old now. I don't think he'll go back into management, will he? So I don't know. I don't know that many managers that are. I don't know that many managers that are actually available at the moment. I know Eddie Howe is, but to be honest with you, England have always been very, very similar. Everyone gets overhyped and then they let us down. So I don't think this sort of England job, I don't think it sort of brings somebody else in England are going to win a tournament. I don't really believe that. I just think that Southgate doesn't get the most out of the options that he has. I think if you actually go through each player that he has in his team and compare it to other squads, England should be reaching the semi-finals with no problems. But as Chuki said, he's come top of his group. England, I haven't conceded a goal yet. If they beat Germany, they've got Sweden or Ukraine, and then Netherlands or somebody. Who is it? Wales, Netherlands. Somebody from over there, isn't it? From over that side of the draw. So, if England are to beat Germany, then they've got a great chance of getting to a final. So we could be talking about something different in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, I don't think Southgate will ever win anything with England. I just think I haven't got that much of a problem. I understand the way he approaches games. I understand it, but I wouldn't do it. I think Jude Bellingham, Jadon Sancho, not so much Rashford. I just think he needs a rest. But you've got Jude Bellingham and Jadon Sancho in particular that are on the bench, and I just think they would offer so much more in this team. So, yeah, Eddie Howe would be my choice. But again, England could still win. We're sitting here, England are still in the tournament. So let's just wait. Let's see what happens. But yeah, Eddie Howe would be my choice if I had to pick somebody now.
Henry, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I'm similar, but the problem with this England job is it's a one-way trip to hell, really, isn't it? Because you can't win. You win a tournament, oh, that's what was expected of you. You don't win a tournament, you're sacked. So managers don't want to touch it. Managers don't want to touch it. It's simple as that. They don't want to go near the job. Club football is much more attractive. I personally think the England job is garbage. Anyone can get it at the moment. Adi Booth will be the next manager if it's not Southgate, because he's another yes man, and he failed with the under-21s as Southgate did as well. So that'll probably be that. I'm more annoyed that look at the attacking talent in this team. People are playing it down. Look at the attacking talent in this England side. We've got one of the best teams in Europe when it comes to attacking talent, and we're not using it. I know Raheem Sterling scored 2 goals. And that's fine. It's great, but he's missed about 30 chances. Put someone else on the fucking left wing. Sterling has been awful. I'm sorry. He's been awful this season. He has not warranted a place. Rashford. I'm going to say this, and people need to take this the right way, not the wrong way. He is paid to play football, not to feed children. I'm sorry for saying it. Someone has to. I'm fed up of this nonsense of, he might be injured. It's clearly a distraction, and he's on the 1 minute he's on the phone to Barack Obama, and then 5 minutes later he's playing in an England game. He's had the captaincy because of his work off the pitch. I respect what he's done off the pitch. He's done some fantastic work, but I'm so sorry, but he is paid to play football. And if it means that don't play a tournament, get yourself fit again, and then if he's firing and fantastic next season, so be it. That's fine. But what I will say is he's not fit 100%, so don't play him. And Chuki's right. It is a little bit political with this England team. You have to play Sterling. You have to play Rashford. Kane has to play because he's captain. There's these little players that shouldn't necessarily be. Kane shouldn't be playing the next game. I'm sorry. He's been so poor. He's been awful. Why is he warranted a place in that squad? Seriously, he should not be. He should be on the bench next game. I'm tired of this political stuff getting in the way. Grealish. So Rashford is playing ahead of Grealish sometimes. Can someone explain that to me? Sterling ahead of Sancho. Can someone explain that to me? The only way it can be explained is political from the manager, because he doesn't want to get hell for not paying someone that's, I'm not discrediting Rashford for the stuff he's done off the pitch. He's done some fantastic work off the pitch, and it is fantastic to see. It's great to see him helping out the younger generation. But he's a footballer. He wouldn't have this opportunity, I don't think, if he wasn't a footballer. So, this is just getting so frustrating now. And someone has to say it, because everyone's scared to say it. So someone has to say it. And if that makes me enemy number one, so be it.
Henry must be absolutely fed up.
Yeah, I was looking at myself.
He's basically saying, "Hey, stop feeding the children."
No, I'm not saying stop doing it. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is primary focus at the moment, and this sounds terrible because it's just football. But he's paid like 150 grand a week to play football. Seriously, if I was getting paid that, I would happily do charity work and stuff to get paid 150 grand a week. But I'm not a fantastic footballer. Yeah, he is.
The real answer: he can do both. I mean, you could be a good professional footballer and still do impactful work off the field.
He's got a management team. He's got a whole management team. Seriously, he's got thousands of people that will work for him and help him, be around him.
I don't know. I always try to walk away from. I say the same thing with Pogba, and even Lingard. Lingardinho is not that they have that amount of work. By the way, Mata does a lot of off the field work, as I heard. But Pogba, they work with social media. They are being distracted because they're doing commercials, they're doing ads, they're flying all over the place. They are
look at Lingard as well.
They're constructing the next dance move, and that's what's affecting their performance on the field. It's not always true. Perception isn't always true.
Lingard had personal issues, and I completely get that. I completely understand that. But also, he launched a new clothing line mid-season. Seriously, and then
Dave Beckham was the underwear, model. Ronaldo does a lot of work. Messi, all these big players, they have off-the-field businesses. They tend to, why? Because they're building empires. Why? Because they're smart. Why? Because they're hard workers. So you can't really just connect their off-the-field stuff to literally their performance on the field.
No,
their performance on the field has to be something different. It has to be either medically or physically. They're not taking good care of themselves. It doesn't look like Rashford is taking good care of himself.
I completely get that. But there's one thing that always sits with me, and that is Ronaldo has a huge entourage. He's got his brothers all running his businesses. Yeah, and Rashford, you see him every day, day in, day out, whether it's doing something different in another location or is that not having any sort of impact on his footballing career? And I know I'm going to be public enemy number one, and that is absolutely fine.
No,
but it is. there has to be some sort of connection. He's injured, you can see it.
Yeah.
But sometimes with attitude, there's a little thing that just not running back. So he ran like 50 yards in the City game, right? Before that, I hadn't seen him do that in like 6 weeks. So there has to be some sort of connection here. It can't just be injury, you know. I know he's been overplayed, but so is Bruno.
Yeah.
And, you know, players, Greenwood, just pulled out of the squad with injury. He's been playing pretty well over the last few weeks. So it can't just be one simple thing. And then, you know, Southgate says, he's doing all the great political work. We'll make him England captain.
Yeah.
I respect that. But does that mean that a League Two player could do a load of charity work and get England captain? Like, seriously, it just baffles me.
I don't know, Ben. You know, we all can't be zombies. We have to have diversity of opinion. You know, and you shouldn't be castigated because what you think. I think you're asking the good question is like, okay, something has to be suffering. For every action, there's a reaction somewhere.
Exactly.
I don't know. Lukaku was here, and he wasn't the best professional when it comes to taking care of his body, and that showed, and it affected his game. You know, on the pitch. Now he's one of the world's number ones, number 9s everywhere because he reverted. So we need to find a inflection point for Rashford. I just don't know what it is. He might really have a medical condition, whether it's his shoulder or he's struggling with a knock or whatever the case might be. We just don't know. I just think it's a little bit unfair to hard line it straight to fit in the kids.
No, I completely get that. But you mentioned Lukaku there.
Yeah.
Just a quick point on that. If he wasn't taking physical care of himself and he was causing himself the problems, then surely it's Rashford's go to say to the manager, "Sorry, I'm not physically fit to do this. Why am I playing? Give me a rest for a week." He rested. Yeah. He rested one game against Fulham. One game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every other game he's been brought off the bench.
I tweeted about this already. I got a lot of hate for it. But I tweeted about, if you're not up to scratch, if you're not fit, it's not just impacting. It's not just making your injury worse. It's also making the team play worse because the new generation of football, everyone thinks of goals, assists, brilliant. But also what you got to realise is, as we said before, Rashford's work rate. Luke Shaw if Luke Shaw's at left back, he needs a left midfielder who needs to track back. He needs a left midfielder who's in a good shape when we lose the ball, get behind the ball when we lose the ball to close spaces up. And the issue was that Rashford was running 50 yards forward and he wasn't being asked to track back the other way. And it impacts a lot because then Luke Shaw has to go out and close the man. And then Harry Maguire, who we know isn't fast, has to go and if Luke Shaw doesn't win it, he's got to chase the winger and he gets beat. And then Lindelof's in the right. And you see how it impacts on all the other players who are trying to defend the corner or the cross or the attack or whatever it might be. So I said before, Rashford should have said, I need a month's rest. And people who say we've got no depth, it's total rubbish. I don't understand this argument at all. Dan James, whatever anyone thinks about him, he's not awful. He could have come in. Juan Mata can still play a bit part role. I know he can't play the whole game, but he can play a bit part role. Amad Diallo can play. There's nobody that telling me he can't play. I know he can't play every game, but Rashford should have been given a rest. And he played a
5-0 dead rubber against Real Sociedad.
Yeah.
5-0 dead rubber. The game was done. The tie was over. We could have played our under-18s in that and still got through. That is what annoys me.
I think that's one big knock on Solskjaer there. What Henry just said. I think that's the biggest criticism of Oli is that he doesn't use all the resources. And what I think the thinking there is like you don't have to give everyone equal time, at least, but make it make sense. Give players a rest when there's an opportunity to do so. I mean, you cannot hate or distrust your bench to the degree where you're playing your star player in a dead rubber man. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know what's going on there.
Dan James, I know I've just seen a comment there that Dan James is a level below Rashford, which is fine, maybe in quality wise, but he's been one of the standout performers for Wales this tournament. He's been one of their best players this tournament at left wing. We play him on the right wing and he's garbage. So I wonder what the problem. I wonder what the problem is. It Dan James? No, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer playing him on the right hand side and not on the left. Seriously, the inability to blame the manager when it comes to these scenarios with United fans is completely baffling.
Yeah.
Put some blame on him, for God's sake. I don't care that he scored a goal in 99. That's him as a player. Put them to one side. Player, manager. Don't connect the two things.
Yeah.
Because as a manager, he's not as good as he was as a player, okay? That's what I'll say for all of those people that want to connect the two, okay? But when it comes to manager and player, he is a manager now. He is not a player. So judge him as a manager. Don't judge him as a player. Same with any other manager. So
Dan James is a poor footballer. I mean, I like the guy. He lost his dad. He's a hard worker. I think we need people like him on the team because a team is about uneven resources, right? Everybody can't be Pogba or Bruno, right? Or Cavani. We need people that are going to put hard miles in. You need people to carry water. That's why I appreciate people like Fred. Right?
A fully fit Dan James is better than a half-fit Rashford.
Exactly.
That's any player, right? any player. Yeah.
That's what it's been for the whole season. And then to have the nerve to stand up after the game, Rashford stand up after the game and go, oh, yeah, I can go in and point out 6 or 7 players that are injured in this changing room. Oh, that's good, isn't it? That's good for the manager. Yeah, just throw him under the bus after to the media. Oh, yeah, throw him to the Wolves. Why not? Just make it make sense. Either don't say anything or all of you say it. So, sorry.
But the thing is, though, as well, I think from a selfish point of view, for me, us as United fans, I'd have loved Rashford to just step aside this tournament and say, listen, my body is absolutely fucked, which it is. I need operations. He should have done what Mason Greenwood did and said, listen, I need an operation.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pull out. I'm still young enough. World Cup's next winter, or this winter coming up, isn't it? So it'll be back fighting for the World Cup. My main issue now is however far England get in this tournament, he's more likely going to have go on holiday, maybe have a bit of a break, and then maybe come back, have his surgery, and then he's going to be missing the first few weeks of the season, or maybe even the first couple of months, depending on what surgery he has. So I can see it from that point of view as well. Like as United fans, we're a bit frustrated. He's gone out there. He's hardly played. He's come on as a couple of subs appearances. And for me, if he's hardly playing, he should have just stayed at home, had his operations and that. But that's again about management, isn't it? But I suppose managers are sometimes damned if they do, damned if they don't. So that's the only way I'm going to sort of maybe try and swing the argument towards the managers, But
Benny, but don't you get? Why wouldn't you just have the surgery and then you can't blame poor performances on anything? There is no excuse there. There is no excuse. It feels like there's an excuse every single time Rashford plays poorly, and it's he's injured. Well, the solution is to have the surgery. He doesn't need to play for England. Grealish and Sterling at the moment are playing much better than him. He doesn't deserve a place in that squad.
Yeah.
Drop him out and let him have the surgery. And then if I'm wrong, completely wrong, and he's not been distracted, and if it's injuries, that's absolutely fine. I'll hold my hands up and accept I was wrong. But he needs to sort this out because if this carries on for another year, his career is going to be over in the next 4 years. He'll be a Michael Owen and he'll burn out by the time he's 26.
Well, Ben said it. We have the example. The example is Greenwood and maybe his entourage saying, "Hey, let's pull out and let's regroup. Let's get you healthy, so you can make those highlights in the next season because we want to get you from where you are to the next tier." But I think the stakes are higher, at least in Rashford's mind. Rashford is very ambitious, and he has been in the squad longer than his years, kind of, no proportion to how old he is. Right, he's been a mainstay in the team, and for him, he thinks the stakes are higher. I think in his head, he puts himself in the elite level where I have to be on the scene. I can't fade away. I have to be ever present.
But
So
it's
whatever.
Henderson as well. Dean Henderson pulled out as well.
Yeah,
you're correct.
It's taking care of yourself, and he will get more disrespect for being in the squad than if he had pulled out for injury and then be fantastic next season. Imagine if he came back next season and scored 10 goals in his first 10 appearances and was absolutely insane because he'd come back and he'd recovered. People would be going, that's a stroke of genius. And now that he's not going to have the surgery and he's probably, not going to be fully fit and he doesn't perform, everyone's going to go, oh, Paul Rashford. Oh, it's just injuries. Poor bloke. Oh, Seriously, I can't believe I'm thinking this, and the people around him aren't.
Yeah, he needs to back himself better. He needs to say, I can disappear for 4 months and come back, just like Shaw did. Right? It's hard to do, but you have to back yourself. I can disappear for 3 to 4 months. I can still make it back into this team. I can give this limelight that I'm hugging to someone else while I get better. And when I'm done, I trust my skill set to be able to break back into this team.
Just sit him down with a highlight reel of Michael Owen. And
to be fair, Henry, you've got a good point about Michael Owen. I think Rio Ferdinand said it not so long ago. He said he sort of begged Marcus Rashford just to go and speak to Michael Owen. Because he played on through injuries that he shouldn't. Maybe we should have time out and had the surgery sooner. And he knackered himself. Michael Owen's a good prime example of that. So maybe we should be taking lessons out of that. Maybe Rash should take a little bit more notice of it. But
maybe Rooney.
Even Rooney.
As well.
I just hope that everything works out for Rashford. And I just hope it's not a detriment to his career, because listen, he's a good football player. I know sometimes he can frustrate a little bit, but he's a really good footballer in there. I just think he needs to just think about himself a little bit, instead of thinking of others, because he's very he's very unselfish like that. He thinks of he puts others before himself. But I think sometimes for the good of his career, he needs to put himself first in mind, get the injuries cleared up. And I think I should have comment here. What happened to
that hip injury?
Anderson is hip injury. Yeah. So hopefully he gets that mended and he should be back
with Rashford
this season.
With Rashford, it hurts. It hurts so much because he's one of the best young talents that has come through in the last few years. He really is. He's a glowing, shining example of what you can do as a footballer. And it's painful to see. It really is painful to see this, because we're all sitting there going, he just needs a break. Someone, if he's not going to do it himself, someone just give him a break, for God's sake. And it's agony to see. It really is.
Right, I'll move it on now anyway. Because I said it about half hour, 45 minutes this show, but I love it when it runs over. Ben might scream at me, but it's all good, boys. It's all good. I love the debate. I love what each individual has come up with. I'm going to come to Charlie, because I've not heard from him for a while. He's just like a little quiet boy up there at the top corner. Charlie, Wales Denmark today, pal. Is this Wales' toughest test of the Euro so far? Because the Danish, on the back of the whole Christian Eriksen thing, they've got momentum behind them, and they're a decent footballing side, really, in my opinion, even with the absence of Christian Eriksen. Playing in the Johan Cruyff Arena, so a little bit close to home, just a little than Baku was for Wales. So, how do you see this one going, pal?
Oh, this game! I think this game's going to be one of the best round of 16 ties. Honestly, I think it's going to be a cracker. I think it's going to be. I think it's the odds. I don't like. I'm not obviously saying anything about betting and that, but the odds have surprised me. Wales are big outsiders, and that surprised me a bit. Denmark are favourites, and I was a bit surprised with that. I thought it'd be a bit tighter. But Wales played a back five against Italy, and obviously, we know why they played a back five. They maybe look to get a draw. They look to, defend with more numbers. But I just hope that Wales go back to that back four, because they were fantastic. I thought the way they set up with Kiefer Moore up front, Dan James Bale on the wings, Ramsey at 10, and Membrell and Joe Allen as the pivot, if you like. So I hope they go back to a back four, because I think that suits them better. And then you've got Denmark, who obviously blew Russia away, and they really did blow them away in the second half. And they play a back five. So it'd be interesting to see whether Wales match up with a back five as well. But I think they should go with that back four. I think they're much better with James and Bale on the wings, with Moore up front. I think they've got a target man up there. Wales, I think Wales are one of those teams. I said before, Wales will go further than England in this tournament. I said a few days ago or a week ago or so. And I think obviously it's a very bold statement. But can you see it more likely Wales beating Denmark or England beating Germany? At the moment, I'd fancy Wales to beat Denmark more than I fancy England to beat Germany, to be honest with you. So yeah, Wales, I hope they do well. I've predicted, I think it'll go to extra time. I think it'll be a tight one in terms of, I don't think there'll be too much between the teams. But it's quite a fascinating game, you know, with Denmark, the way, don't rule out Denmark for this tournament, you know. I know I just said that I think Wales could beat Denmark, but Denmark, the way they've recovered, the mental strength they've recovered to, you know, from what happened, it's just unbelievable. And as Ben said as well, you know, Eriksen as well, he's not just, it's not just the fact that obviously one of their closest friends nearly passed away. On a footballing terms, he's their main man. So the fact that they went and scored 4 against Russia without him was really impressive. So Wales are going to have to play well. I think it'll be a tight one. I hope Wales win. As I said, I always like Wales to do well. I've always liked Wales. I think they're a good team to watch. But it's going to be I think it's going to be it's a tough one to call, isn't it? Because, you know, can Denmark beat Wales? You know, Denmark have recovered, as I said, fantastically well. But Wales are not an easy team to beat. You know, Italy only beat them 1-0, and Wales had 10 men as well. So, you know, Wales are not a pushover. So yeah, I think Wales have got a real chance. I really do, and I hope for all the Welsh fans they win. But as I said before, I think it's going to be a real close game. I cannot see any team winning by more than a goal. As I said, I think it'll go to extra time, and I'll be supporting Wales. You know, Scotland's a little bit different. I think England and Scotland are slightly bigger rivalry. I've got nothing against Scotland, but I never really supported them. You know, I'm not really bothered either way. But Wales, I've never, you know, disliked the Welsh, so I'll be supporting the Welsh this afternoon, and I hope they go through.
Chuki, are you jumping on the Wales bandwagon, my friend?
Well, I have to, because I said Dan James is a poor footballer. He is very technically poor, but he is a Manchester United player, so I will be supporting full force behind Dan, our boy. Liked him. He's done well in this tournament, and that you can see the difference between national and club football, right? Like I said, national football is about national character. He showed lots of character, bags of it. That team, you know, Denmark is going to be a hard one because they've gone through like a psychological scarring that most of us haven't, you know, even dare to dream. Like what Charlie was saying, they almost saw their peer and their teammates almost, extinguished from this earth right there in front of their eyes, right? And it was just emotional. Like the family will watch. It was just terrible. It was a terrible situation for them to recoup and recover from that. It might be the story of the tournament, regardless of who wins this thing. You know, it's a human story, something that might be even higher than football. It is higher than football. That being said, people like Ramsey can't be wasteful. They have to put the chances once they get there, once they come their way. Bill should be, up running for this tournament. He's had a long layoff. He didn't start playing for Spurs till the business end of the season, so he's had a long layoff, just chilling on the bench. He should have lots of reserves. Same thing with Dan James, because he's not being used that much, that frequently at United, so he should have a lot in his fuel tank as well. So as far as I will be watching as a semi-neutral, but I'll really be leaning towards supporting Wales because of Dan James on the team. And Giggs also, used to be the manager, prior to unfortunately having to pull out because of personal issues. Back to England, Germany is what I'm looking forward to. I'll take. Speaking of national character, the English, you just put too much pressure. It's coming home. We need to go there. We need to play all our attacking players. It needs to look like PS5. Too much pressure. No wonder the players get out on the field and they're all tentative. Nobody wants their misplaced pass to make the headline, in the Daily Mail or something, or the Sun or wherever. It's just no other country does it. Not even close. Not even close. No other country does it, right? So it doesn't matter. People's like, oh, we have the best players. Really, you do? Capello didn't have the best players. He's not a good coach. I mean, I don't. It's not. You're looking for blame at the wrong places, right? It's like at some time you have to look at the mirror and say, okay, where's my part in this madness, this circus? That we're orchestrating here. When Lampard, Gerrard, Carrick were there, I mean, England is the same England. It doesn't. You can change the coaches all you like, except you get a maverick that comes in and establishes a style, just like what Mancini did for Italy. Like really just impose something very radically different, right? And that's when, and that's where things might significantly change. But if this external pressure is the mainstay, I think it'll be the same thing. Because at the end of the day, players play a lot of games with their clubs. They are knackered once the international comes. And they don't want to deal with that. They really don't want to deal with that. The other thing I would say is, even though England has exciting players, and they're familiar to a lot of people globally because of how good the EPL is marketed, I struggle to think about English players that basically do the main job in the game, which is to moderate the tempo of the game. This is the issue. You have Rashford, Sterling, Sancho, Gascoigne, Foden. They're exciting players, but they react. They're like lightning. They're impactful players, but they do not control the tempo of a game. Who does that? Is it Rice? Is it Phillips? So who does? So that's the missing key. That's why when England's on the field, it's always like, okay, are you going to do something? Are you going to take this thing by the scruff of your neck or what's going? There's no one to do that. There's no Paul Pogba, right? There's no Forsberg. Is that his name for Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Germany, there's no Kimmich or Havertz. There's they're very exciting players. Just imagine if Germany was full of Werners, and Colemans and Gnarbys. That's basically England. It's like a lot of very exciting, technical players, but you need the sage to control the game and input, and be basically like a metronome, and that's what England is missing. Maybe Henderson being off the field, maybe it might be affecting things, but who knows?
On that, you say everything, it's coming home every tournament with the Germans.
Yeah.
When they got told that obviously that they were playing England the next round, Es kommt nach Hause, it's coming home, was their headline off their official Facebook page. So, and we all know the Germans love It's Coming Home from Euro 96. They sang it when they won the tournament. But anyway, back to the Wales game. Henry, Wales, Denmark. Are we fancying the Danish at all, or are we going to have a full lockout and say Wales? What are you thinking of this game, and who's going to be the key player for you today?
Can I just say quickly that Scotland comment there from Brown Knight? That's bait. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that you can support City in the Champions League final. No way. Wales Denmark that's tough. That really is tough. And before the tournament, I would said that the Danes would walk all over them. But yeah, Rob Page has got these guys playing some sort of weird football. I'm not sure how to. It's like sometimes they cross it and aim for keeping more. Sometimes they play through the lines. You just don't know what you're going to get with them. So yeah, it could go either way. Denmark are a good side, but again, sadly they're missing that key creative spark in their side, which was Eriksen. Obviously, first things first to make sure he's okay, and there are priorities, and that his health comes 100% first. And if he's not able to play, then that's such a shame. Play again, that's such a shame. But Yeah, that game's just I don't know how to call it. I literally cannot tell you how that's going to go because it could go either way. I just don't know because I don't think there's going to be loads of chances because Wales don't give up loads of chances and Denmark are solid defensively. So it could go either way. It depends. I think it's going to depend on the moment of brilliance. I really do. And when you got players like Gareth Bale in your side, you're more than capable of doing that. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. But I can't call it. I can't sit here and tell you who's going to win that.
Absolutely, that's totally fine, mate. It's totally fine. We'll just quickly go through the Italy game. They are playing Austria, and it is at Wembley. I've just didn't realise that myself, but it is at Wembley Stadium today. The 8:00 game. Charlie, obviously, I from the start of the show, everyone's been bigging up the Italians. So, is this a foregone conclusion, mate? Is the Italians going to absolutely wipe before the Austrians, or have Austria got some up their sleeves?
Well, obviously, everyone's going to maybe even Austrian fans maybe think Italy are going to win the game. But I've gone with a 2-0 Italy win. I think they'll control the game again. I just think it's a difference in quality. It's not just the quality; it's also the difference in manager, the difference in system, the experience that Italy have got. I fancy Italy to win the game. I hope Austria get the first goal. Henry talked about England going behind. Let's hope that Austria score first and see what Italy can do. When they're playing against a real low block, let's see if they can break teams down. Let's see if they can really, really be gritty and dig in these difficult moments. But yeah, I expect Italy to win. I can't see Austria beating Italy. But this is why we're all on this show. This is why we all love football, because we don't know what's going to happen, do we? We can never 100% predict a game, and we're never always going to be right, because football is a game of 95 minutes. And if you don't turn up for that 95 minutes, you don't win the game. And it's as simple as that. Well, normally you don't win the game if you don't turn up. But this Italy side, if they don't turn up and play well, they probably could still win the game because of the quality that they've got. And that's what good teams do. But obviously, they've 3 games they've played so far. I think they've played well in all of them. But yeah, I expect Italy to go through. I cannot see any upsets. And just one more point on Wales that Henry said, you don't know what you're going to get from them. I think that's actually quite a good thing. If you don't know what sort of football you're going to come up against, Wales can put a long ball into the box. You've got Gareth Bale they can hit them on the counter with Dan James and Bale. They've got pace, they've got quality, they've got set pieces. Whereas you look at Man United this season, we're quite one-dimensional, but there's no plan B. If Rashford or Bruno's having a bad game, where's the plan B? Where's the options off the bench? Where's the change of tactics? Where's the change of system? So as Henry said, you don't know what you're going to get from them. Well, you could take that both ways. That could be a good thing, maybe a bad thing for Denmark. What are you going to come up against today? So yeah, I'm going to go for a Wales win in extra time, and I'm going to go for an Italy win.
Well, I'll get score predictions at the end from each of you, but Chuki, are we going to go for Austria? Or are we sticking with Italy, mate? I just want someone to vary it up a little bit. And if there's one man that's going to vary it up for me, it's you, Chuki. No pressure.
Okay, I'll do that job very gladly. Here's how Austria can beat Italy. Change the game. So that's the issue with how Italy is. They have good technical players because it's Italy. Most of their players do play in this area, a bulk of them. The ones that don't, like Moise Kean and the rest, I don't think they've even been fielded yet. So, and in this area, even though like 2, 3, 4 teams are high octane, they do the gegen pressing, whatever you might call it. It's still a league where you get a lot of space and not a lot of speed, relatively. Okay, so Austria needs to play this game as if it was a club game, right? They need to vacuum up all the spaces. They need to press, right? Don't give Italy the space. Italy, in this tournament in general, teams are getting the space. Pogba is pinging Hollywood passes because people are not encroaching him. People are not ultra pressing him like they do in the Premier League, where he loses possession quite a bit sometimes because sometimes he backs himself too much, But either way, That's what Austria needs to do. They need to get in Italy's faces, press like they were playing a club game. And Austria is a technical team. They have good technical players, right? They play really good combination football. So if they press and win the ball higher up the field, they can cause some problems for Chiellini and Bonucci. Chiellini and Bonucci, I don't think have been really tested that much, and Donnarumma isn't 100% Teflon, right? We saw the Donnarumma versus United in the Europa, right, with Milan. We're proving that he's not Teflon, right? He's a great young goalkeeper, but he's vulnerable, especially when there's attacking. When there are a lot of sources of attack. So Austria needs to manufacture sources of attack, and the way they can do that is to bring some intensity, especially when it comes to reducing the time Italian players have on the ball. Because if you give Italy the ball to play, they're winning this match 100%. They play 10 times, they win it 9.5 times out of 10.
Thank you, Chuki. I know. I could always rely on you, mate, to be a little bit different to these lads. Henry, I know you're going to say Italy, pal, because of how well you praised them in the opening parts of the show. Where's this game going to be won, though, for the Italians? Is it going to be their solid defensive unit, who, let's be fair, are aging a little bit, so maybe they could be got at, or do you think it's just their overall team spirit?
I just want to see an Arnautovic-Chiellini boxing match. To be honest, I think that's what it's going to be. I think they're just going to be beating the crap out of each other the whole game. So, I want to see the whole press conference thing. I want to see them, shouting profanities at each other. We saw what Arnautovic did against North Macedonia. He can really rattle some people. So, I want to see those two just basically beat the crap out of each other in the game. And I think it will happen if they both start. So. I'm down for a scrap with I just want to watch the game and see a scrap. I don't care who wins. Everyone's saying Italy are fantastic, and they are, but they kick people around a little bit. But have they been kicked around a little bit this tournament? Not yet, because they play kind of nice teams. So I just want to see some scraps and some battles, and sit there with an ice cream and enjoy it.
Hey, well, that's a good way. It's a good way, mate. No one's really caught with the scraps and the battles yet, have they? There's not been that much shithousery either, really, has there? So maybe this game might have a few instances of shithousery. To end the show, because I know it has run over an hour, and Ben will probably kill me yet again. But it's been a great show, boys. I love it. I love it when it free flows like this. Charlie, I'll start with you. Scores for both matches, pal. I know earlier you want to put one on Wales, but come on, lad, stick your neck out on the line.
I'm gonna go 1-1 in normal time for the Wales game. I think Wales will win 2-1 in extra time, and I think Italy will win 2-0.
Perfect. Chuki.
I think it'll be 2-1 Wales. That match could go either way. I'll say 2-1 Wales, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I hope it's 2-1 Wales, so we can see Dan James progress and get some more game time. For Italy, Austria, let me be different. For Italy, Austria, I'll say 3-2 Austria.
3-2 Austria. Ooh,
yes.
I'm liking that, buddy.
Yes. Why not? The Italians are playing an open game. They're playing an open game. Okay, let's be open. Let's score some goals. 3-2 Austria.
This is why I like you on these shows, Chuki. Yeah. Always providing the entertainment for us. But I like that. Henry, finally, mate, what score prediction we say? I know you didn't too much care about the Italy-Austria one, as you said there, but if it's not a bloodbath, pal, what score are we going for, mate?
So I'm going to go with 2-2 in the Wales-Denmark game. Mm-hmm. I think Denmark will get a last-minute goal. I can just see it happening. I think it'll be good fun. I'm going to go with 3-1 Italy, but 2 Austria red cards. Arnautovic is going to punch someone. I can feel it. It might be a steward, it might be a coach, it might be a manager. He's going to punch someone. So he's getting sent off in this game.
Absolutely.
And who else would get sent off? Trying to think of the aggressive ones in that team.
David Alaba, maybe, I don't know.
Nah, it's Watford goalkeeper, bit of a ditzy knobhead, isn't he? He kind of he throws himself around a little bit. Yeah, Bachmann's getting himself. He's drop kicking someone in the head or something outside the box and getting himself sent off. So yeah, I'm going 3-1 Italy, 2 Austria red cards.
I think Henry's thinking it's the UFC, not the Euro 2020.
Well, I just want to see it. I'm hopeful.
I hope so. It'd be exciting, wouldn't it?
That would be exciting, to be fair. Anyway, I'll best wrap this up because I don't want Ben shouting at me not that he will anyway. He's not shouting at me yet, but what a great show. I know it's gone over an hour. I plugged it at the start that it'll be a half an hour, 45 minutes, and an hour and 10 minutes into it. We're still here. But what a brilliant show. What a brilliant panel. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Chuki. And thank you, Henry. What a show that's been. I'm back tomorrow for another Euro Day. Why am I saying Euro Daily? It's not even Euro Daily. It's at the Pride of All Europe podcast. God knows where I got Euro Daily from. But anyway, Pride of All Europe podcast tomorrow at 12 again. I shall see you for that one. Thank you, everybody, and have a good afternoon.